Good day, and welcome to this in-depth look at one of the most significant geopolitical conflicts of our time, the ongoing struggle between Ukraine and Russia. While global attention often focuses on recent escalations, the roots of this conflict stretch back much further, with tensions simmering since 2014. Understanding the present requires a journey into the past, exploring the complex tapestry of history, identity, and strategic interests. These have brought these two nations to this critical juncture. To truly grasp the current situation, we must first acknowledge the profound historical ties that bind Ukraine and Russia. For centuries, their destinies have been intertwined. Ukraine, often referred to as the breadbasket of Europe, it spent a significant portion of the 20th century as a constituent republic within the Soviet Union. This period, from 1922 until its dissolution, deeply shaped Ukraine's political, economic, and social landscape. However, the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 marked a pivotal moment. Ukraine declared its independence, a move overwhelmingly supported by its citizens in a national referendum. This act of self-determination set Ukraine on a path toward forging its own national identity, distinct from its former Soviet master and its powerful eastern neighbor. Following independence, Ukraine embarked on a journey to integrate more closely with Western institutions, a move viewed with increasing apprehension by Moscow. The Orange Revolution of 2004 and the Euromaidan Revolution of 2014 underscored a growing desire among many Ukrainians for democratic reforms and closer ties with the European Union and NATO. The signing of an association agreement with the EU in 2014 was a particularly significant step, symbolizing Ukraine's commitment to a European future. For Russia, however, this westward shift was perceived as a direct threat to its sphere of influence and national security interests, particularly the potential expansion of NATO to its borders. This divergence in strategic orientation laid the groundwork for the escalating tensions that would soon follow. The year 2014 proved to be a watershed moment. In the wake of the Euromaidan Revolution, Russia swiftly moved to annex Crimea, a peninsula with a majority ethnic Russian population and home to Russia's Black Sea Fleet. Russian special forces without insignia rapidly seized control of key strategic points, followed by a hastily organized referendum widely condemned internationally as illegitimate. The annexation was a clear violation of international law and Ukraine's territorial integrity, drawing immediate and widespread condemnation from the United States, the European Union, and numerous other nations. This act fundamentally altered the geopolitical landscape and marked a dramatic escalation in the conflict. Almost concurrently with the annexation of Crimea, a new front opened in eastern Ukraine. In the Donbas region, pro-Russian separatists, allegedly supported and supplied by Russia, launched an insurgency against the Ukrainian government. This conflict quickly devolved into a brutal proxy war, characterized by intense fighting, heavy casualties, and a severe humanitarian crisis. The separatists declared the formation of the Donetsk People's Republic and Luhansk People's Republic, unrecognized by the international community. The conflict in eastern Ukraine became a frozen conflict, but one that continued to claim lives and destabilize the region for years. The conflict reached a tragic peak in July 2014 with the downing of Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 MH17 over eastern Ukraine, killing all 298 people on board. International investigations later concluded that the plane was shot down by a Russian-made Buk missile system fired from separatist-controlled territory. This horrific event significantly increased international pressure on Russia, leading to a new round of more stringent sanctions from Western nations. The incident underscored the devastating human cost of the conflict and further isolated Russia on the global stage, intensifying diplomatic efforts to find a resolution. In an effort to de-escalate the fighting in eastern Ukraine, a series of peace agreements were brokered, known as the Minsk Protocols, in 2014 and 2015. These agreements aimed to establish a ceasefire, withdraw heavy weaponry, and facilitate political reforms. In the Donbas region, while the Minsk agreements did lead to a reduction in large-scale hostilities, a complete and lasting peace remained elusive. Sporadic fighting continued, and key provisions were never fully implemented, leaving the conflict in a state of uneasy stalemate. Despite ongoing diplomatic efforts and the nominal existence of the Minsk agreements, tensions dramatically escalated. In late 2021 and early 2022, Russia began a massive military buildup along Ukraine's borders. Despite repeated warnings from Western intelligence agencies and diplomatic pleas, Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine on February 24, 2022. This unprovoked aggression marked a dramatic and devastating turning point, shattering decades of European peace and triggering the largest military conflict on the continent since World War II. The invasion aimed to swiftly overthrow the Ukrainian government and install a pro-Russian regime, but it met fierce resistance. The 2022 invasion elicited an unprecedented global response. Western nations, led by the United States and the European Union, swiftly imposed severe and wide-ranging sanctions on Russia, targeting its financial institutions, energy sector, and key individuals. These sanctions aimed to cripple the Russian economy and pressure Moscow to end its aggression. Simultaneously, there was an outpouring of international support for Ukraine, with billions of dollars in aid flowing into the country. NATO significantly bolstered its presence in Eastern Europe, and countries like Germany dramatically shifted their defense policies. The conflict galvanized a renewed sense of unity among democratic nations. The Ukraine-Russia conflict is not merely a regional dispute. It has profound implications for international relations and the fundamental principles of national sovereignty. Russia's actions have challenged the post-World War II international order, which is predicated on the inviolability of national borders and the prohibition of aggressive war. For Ukraine, the conflict is an existential struggle for its independence, territorial integrity, and the right to choose its own future. The outcome will undoubtedly shape the future of European security, the role of international institutions, and the balance of power on the global stage. It has forced a revaluation of deterrence and collective security. As of today, the conflict in Ukraine continues, marked by intense fighting, widespread destruction, and a devastating humanitarian crisis. Millions of Ukrainians have been displaced, and countless lives have been lost. The long-term consequences, both for the region and the world, are still unfolding. The conflict serves as a stark reminder of the fragility of peace and the enduring complexities of history, identity, and power in international relations. The path to a lasting resolution remains uncertain, but the resilience of the Ukrainian people and the unwavering support from much of the international community continue to define this ongoing struggle.